Oh, welcome, people. Welcome to the Evolution Network. We are here again with another preseason profile. This profile is probably going to stir a little bit of controversy because I am not a fanboy. We are looking at USC quarterback Sam Darnold. Oh, I watched 2 games of his. Stats can be deceiving, and in this case, they are quite deceiving. Now, I watched the PSU, Penn State University, and the Washington games, and we have a little bit of a differing opinion here at the Evolution Network on just what the draft range for Sam Darnold is. Now, myself, Mr. Joseph Potter, I am a little more stuck on the fundamentals, if anybody listening hasn't figured that out. Sam Darnold takes fundamentals, stomps on them with his cleats, shreds them like paper, throws them in a paper shredder, and then flushes them down the toilet. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't have his good points. He has quite a few of them. But the fundamentals in this situation are absolutely atrocious. Now, then yes, I realize in my bottom line for the title, I still got Josh Rosen. That's my bad, so just ignore that, please. But for Darnold, his strengths, his good points, he does have good pocket awareness, mobility, and vision. Now, he looks off the field well. He can sense the rush rather easily. It looks like it comes naturally to him. And he can move around in the pocket. He can move around in the pocket. He can get out of the pocket. So I love those things about him. They are very good building blocks for him at this stage. I also really like the fact that he's 6'4", 225. He doesn't have a lot of building left that he needs to do. And when you don't have to build your body as much, then you can work on said horrific fundamentals. And finally, he's got great arm strength. I really like his arm strength. And this is something that if you don't have it naturally, takes a while to build up. And he has very good arm strength. It looks natural. And that is something that is difficult to work on. You can ask a lot of these quarterbacks that have worked. Say, the latest example would be Colt McCoy. He's gotten better arm strength since he was drafted by the Browns. But it took, 6 years to get better arm strength? It's not a fast process. And he's still underwhelming in that respect, which is why he's a backup. Then, so let's go over to the other side. Now, this is going to show here, and a lot of these things, a lot of these cons will fit into the others. He has terrible footwork, often steps wide. His release point is erratic. He has the Mitchell Trubisky, Byron Leftwich-esque wind-up. He holds the ball low, and then he just winds up and throws it. And he holds the ball with one hand. He has a tendency when he starts to run, he'll pull the ball down, But instead of tucking it, he will hold it in one hand. I mean, come on, guys. It's something like that. Somebody comes up behind you, he could trip and fall. His arm comes down, hits the football, and that's a fumble. He's hailed as a hero. You're hailed as a buffoon. Tuck the football. Don't stand in the pocket with the football in your hand. And his accuracy. Now, this goes back to the footwork and the release point. If your footwork and your release point are off, your accuracy is going to be off. And when I say this, yes, I know his 67% completion percentage, the massive amount of touchdowns, 31 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, multiple 5-touchdown games, yada yada, 71% passing games, yada yada, multiple receivers having to reach out and grab a football, reach back behind him and grab a football, lay out and grab a football. His receivers do an excellent job of snatching the football out of the air. He is not on target with a lot of his passes that get caught. And when you have that happen, then you have some issues. Because in the NFL, if you're off and you have players who are receivers who have to lay out to get passes, then chances are those receivers aren't going to have a chance to lay out to get the pass because that thing's going to be intercepted and taken back. You have to show the accuracy. In this case, the completion percentage does not tell the complete story. I saw in the PSU game, there were several passes. He was 62% passing. He had 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He made a couple good throws on the touchdown passes. I'll give him that. But that completion percentage, he was 33 for 53. You could have very easily, if they had more athletic people there, you could have seen him going 27 for 53, closer to 50%. Because he was not on point with his passes. And that was in the Rose Bowl. Presented by Northwestern Mutual. Now, not only that, now you look back up at the Washington game. They won 26-13. He was 23 for 33. Could have easily been 18 for 33. He makes 4 to 6 passes a game that his receivers do an excellent job of catching. I will give his receivers every benefit in the world. There are a couple catches that Juju Smith-Schuster made that were very good on the sideline, where he had his feet in bounds and reached over to the sideline and pulled that thing back. Now, he does have a feel for the sideline. I will give him this. He tends to keep the ball where only his receiver can catch it. Problem is, he'll often throw it to where the receiver has to go, not only make an effort to it, but go an extra mile to get it, or they just drop it. So and this goes back to the footwork, because if your toe's not pointed where you think the receiver is going to be, then that ball is going to sail to wherever you're pointing. So he has to clean up those mechanics. And he works with a wide step. It's something I said earlier with his footwork. He will step wide on the pass. And this, once again, allows for a problem with the release point. So he can clean up some of his problems with his release point if he cleans up the wide step. And so with the wide step, everybody knows, well, everybody should know. If they don't, they're going to learn. You take the wide step, the shoulder dips. The front shoulder will dip, which will mean the back shoulder will come up. Now, when you're a quarterback, if you're a young quarterback and you're listening to this, coaches always tell you, keep your shoulders square. If you take a short step, your shoulders remain square. You remain square to the line of scrimmage. You remain square to your receiver. Your toes pointed accurately, etc. You take that wide step, that shoulder dips, your shoulders are no longer square, your release point goes off. You may release it sooner, you may release it later. Your release point is a mess as soon as that wide step happens. And so he really has to reel that in and work on taking a shorter step when it comes to throwing the passes, and that will help clean up not only the accuracy, the release point, and the footwork. If he just pulls that wide step back, he can fix nearly 3 issues with 1 correction. Or if not fix them, greatly improve on them. Now, the wind-up. When I was coaching, I would always get on any quarterback I had, hold the ball high. That ball should be no lower than your armpit. That way, when people say, he's got a quick release, I look at it and say, okay, well, how long's the total motion take? Well, who cares about the total motion? Total motion. You got 3 seconds to throw the football. You have to make all your reads. You have to make all your checkdowns. Got to make your fakes. You may have to go with the play action. Play calls for it. What do? If you have a quick release, fine and dandy. If you're winding up for 2/3 of a second, and you got a good 3/10 of a second release, that's nearly a second. That means to do everything you need to do, everything I just mentioned, you have 2 seconds. You have about 2 seconds to do all that. Simply because you took this wide, circling, Byron Leftwich, Mitchell Trubisky, roundabout pass. Roundabout throwing motion. Well, you keep that thing high, it's right there. You keep that thing near your armpit, it's right up top there. 3/10 of a second, snap, out. Okay, so keep the ball high. Darnold has to keep the ball high. These make him an extremely volatile draft pick in the early first round at this point. He is, I would say he's a better prospect than Mitchell Trubisky was this year, simply off not only starting experience, but also he's more mobile. He's got better pocket awareness, and he has better vision. I also think he has better arm strength. Definitely has better size. So he's more of a blue chip prospect than Trubisky was. Trubisky was taken number 2 overall in an extremely weak quarterback class. Darnold, if he comes out in 2018, he has a chance to have a much stronger quarterback class. So if he doesn't clear things up, he's going to have the likes of Josh Allen from Wyoming, Josh Rosen of UCLA. He's going to have these guys coming in, bearing down, And if they have far fewer issues when it comes to their mechanics than Darnold does. Not to say that they don't have issues, because I've covered those two on earlier episodes. They will have issues, but they have fewer issues. Their issues are pretty easily corrected overall. And Donald's are also pretty easily corrected if he just takes care of his wide step. He can eliminate 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 of those flaws simply by fixing his step. See, everything's connected with a quarterback. Everything's connected. And now, Darnold is one of these players that's living proof of this. Because now, I'm going to tell you, he fixes that wide step during the season. Here is what his report would look like. He has good pocket awareness, great mobility, strong vision, good arm strength, very good size. But he needs to work on his wind-up, holding the ball with one hand. His wind-up and holding the ball with one hand. And that's what you would be looking at if you had just fixed that one little area. Now, I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the most difficult games that he was going to have last year. Last year, his Alabama game, first game of the year, they lost 52-6. He's 50% passing, 29 yards, 3 of 9 rushing, long 7 yards. Stanford, 5 of 7, 45 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns, no rushes. He did not play exceptionally well, to say the least. But at the same time, in his last 8 games, he won his last 8 games. And most of them, pretty much all of them, except for the Colorado game, were in impressive fashion. So he's a winner. He knows how to win. And if he can keep that up, that'll be a definite strength for him. I'm just concerned with him about his fundamentals being so bad that he's not going to be able to adjust to the NFL game and work the way he's working at USC. In his career, he's had 31 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. All of it last year. He was sacked 6 times, which goes back to how extremely good he is with his pocket awareness and his mobility. So they have a lot to work with as far as his natural instincts go. And you cannot teach instincts. So I am very high on him. I hope he goes back to school and enters the 2019 draft. But in the end, that may end up being something that doesn't come to fruition and may be out of his hands as far as what other players go and how other players develop and the advice that he gets. So, in the end, we'll look at Darnold. We'll watch him closely. Hopefully he has more games where he shows more fundamentally. I would like to see him play better competition than Cal, which was probably, I got nothing from watching the Cal game because they didn't lay a hand on him. He had just, he had all day to throw, clean pocket. His receivers were open. I thought he was wearing a red jersey and they were playing a practice game. So we're going to go ahead and give right now, based on what he is, I'm going to give him a second round grade. His preseason second round grade. His overall talent, his natural instincts, his mobility, his athleticism, all extremely rare. But he has to develop as a quarterback, and if he can develop stronger fundamentals and develop as a quarterback, he will easily be in the running for a top 10 selection, and he'll be right there with Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and those other quarterbacks that are potentially going to be coming out. And join us later on for our next set of preseason profiles, which will feature the likes of Baker Mayfield, from quarterback from Oklahoma, Javon Hagan, safety from Ohio, and potentially Deion Kane and Cortland Sutton out of SMU. So, I'm Joseph Potter, once again, for the Evolution Network, and have a good night.